Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting off with this 1 day time frame for Bitcoin and taking a look at this descending channel that Bitcoin has been consolidating in for a couple of months at this point. And ever since getting this most recent rejection here on the RSI momentum indicator, we also traded back inside this range. And of course, I flipped much more bearish here at about 70,000 US dollars. And since that moment, we have seen nothing but momentum to the downside. And I would say for right now, the trend so far continues to be downward, although there are some signals suggesting that we could go higher early on in the next week here. So I'll get to that in just a second. But I do want to be clear that the RSI is still in this clear downtrend. And besides that, it will still take quite a bit more bearish momentum for Bitcoin to actually reach into oversold territory, which is whenever the RSI is below 30. So right now it is at 35. But of course, whenever it is at 30, it can still go much lower here, right? So there is still a lot of room to the downside, as well as just taking a look at this descending channel in general. Yeah, there is still a lot more room to the downside. And as of the time of recording, the bottom of this range is sitting at 56.5K. However, on the flip side, the top side resistance here is currently sitting at about 69.2K. So those are two large price levels to pay attention to on this higher time frame here. Although, of course, there are going to be signals on the lower time frames where potentially we can find some kind of support sometime soon and get a bounce from there back to the upside. So let's go take a look at those right now. So for example, taking a look at this 4-hour time frame right here, you can see that Bitcoin is right now sitting exactly at this short-term level of support, sitting at 63.6K, roughly speaking. And if we do not hold this as a level of support, so you start seeing price action below this level right here, well, in that case, the next big level of support is sitting from 62.4K all the way down to $60,000. So these are two big support levels that you should be paying attention to if we go lower here. But for now, the main focus is actually just holding this 63.6K level. And in the case that we do hold this level of support and start bouncing to the upside here, well, as soon as we clear above this 64.4K high, after that, the next big level of resistance is from 65K all the way up to $66,000. Now, in terms of some patterns to pay attention to for Bitcoin, we are in this smaller descending channel on the 4-hour time frame. And yeah, we can go to the bottom of this range, no problem. It will be at about 62.5K and still just get a bounce from there. And of course, the resistance to the upside is currently sitting at 65.3K. So if you see a breakout from there, then make sure you look for that retest to actually hold before blasting off to the upside. Because I do think that we are getting into this window here where some fake outs could be happening. Like, for example, you see the price trading out of this range, but then right back inside the range again and continuing this bearish momentum. Anyways, let's move on to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map here. First of all, on this 24-hour time frame, because right now you can see that Bitcoin is dipping exactly into this level of liquidity, which is technically still sitting as low as about 63.6K. However, most of that liquidity to the downside is currently being swept, leaving only topside liquidity left basically at 64.8K. However, this is of course on the 24-hour time frame. So we also should be taking a look at some higher time frames, like for example, the 1-month time frame here, where there is still quite a bit of liquidity to the downside, sitting as low as about 62,000 US dollars. And yes, this can still completely get swept before we actually get that move to the upside. So personally, for me right now, because we are in a strong downtrend, I'm relying a little bit less on these Bitcoin liquidation heat maps recently because the downtrend is just so strong. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, it is completely possible that we actually sweep all of this liquidity before going to the upside. But I do want to be clear that this liquidity to the upside continues to just pile up every single day. So now we have over $1 billion worth of liquidity sitting at 67.6K, another close to $1.5 billion at 70.3K, and then over $2 billion worth of liquidity sitting at 72.3K. So yeah, the liquidity just keeps piling up here because, like I was saying earlier, I still have the opinion that we are in a bull run here, and that simply after getting this massive parabolic move to the upside, it is completely normal to just see some choppy sideways price action for a little bit and just some consolidation, building that new base, which is actually also around the previous all-time high from 2021, 2022. So for me personally, at least, this is just completely normal price action to see for now. And unless I really see Bitcoin breaking down below this range, until then, I continue to have the opinion that we are likely just breaking out, even if we go as low as 56K. Now, quickly taking a look at Ethereum here. First of all, on this 1 day time frame, you can see the 0.618 Fibonacci level sitting at 3330. So this could provide some support for Ethereum, at least in the short term. However, I do want to be clear that if Bitcoin continues to get a large push to the downside, it will likely drag Ethereum with it to the downside as well. So that is important to pay attention to. And it is exactly the reason why I take a look at the Bitcoin technical analysis every single day, because as far as I can tell, Bitcoin's momentum is what leads the market. Now, in terms of resistance to the upside, we do have this 0.786 Fibonacci level sitting at $4,000. However, to be clear, there are a lot of shorter term levels of resistance in between the current price and that Fibonacci level. So let's take a look at those right now. Zooming into this 4-hour time frame for Ethereum, it continues to trade inside this big level of support sitting from 35.30 all the way down to 34.30. And if Ethereum does trade lower from here, again, we have that Fibonacci level. And then the next big level of support below that is sitting from 32.50 all the way down to 31.50. However, if Ethereum does trade back to the upside, so trading above this 35.30 level, in that case, we have some short-term resistance sitting at 36.50, with above that some more bigger resistance from 37.50 all the way up to 3800. So those are the key price levels that I'm paying attention to for Ethereum over the next couple of days. Now taking a look at Solana on this 4-hour time frame. First of all, right here you can see that it traded below the 0.236 Fibonacci level, sitting at $138. So this is now an important resistance level to pay attention to. And yeah, just taking a look at this downtrend for Solana in general on the 4-hour time frame, so long as we are trading below this trend line, yeah, of course, the trend just continues to be more and more bearish. But I do think that obviously at some point we do have to break this trend line and get some kind of reversal back to the upside. But again, it is heavily reliant on what Bitcoin is doing. So moving on to the short-term levels of support and resistance. Right now, Solana is in this big level of resistance, sitting from 134 all the way down to $125. And in terms of resistance to the upside, we have this big level of resistance from 140 all the way up to $150 for the price of Solana. And if we do not, so if we start trading below this $124 level for Solana, then the next big level of support is from $115 all the way down to $100 for the price of Solana. But if Solana actually continues this bearish momentum here and we go as low as like maybe $100 or something like that, if you have to imagine that if we do that sometime soon, the RSI will be in extremely oversold territories at that point, basically in the middle of the bull run, right? So that would be an interesting situation for sure, and that could potentially be an interesting entry point as well, but I will get to that in my videos as soon as I see it, because I don't want to be calling for $100 Solana unless we are clearly breaking down below this level of support, and then I will cover it in my video as I see the price action. But for now, I think that is a little bit early to call for that, although feel free to share your ideas or what you think is going to happen to Solana, or simply to read other people's analysis in the crypto Discord community. So join the Road to 1 Million community with the first link in the description of this video you're watching right now. They're sharing their technical analysis as well as just talk about crypto in general. So if that is something you're interested in, go check that out. This has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.